Well, hi everybody. Father Alex here, 068 Blackburn General Synod member. The private members motion that I put forward a while ago is going to be debated this coming February, which I'm really pleased about. And I just wanted to just put together this for the very few people that might be interested, who perhaps don't like reading through long, lengthy documents. So I can just explain to you a little bit about why we're doing this, why I've done it, what it is we're hoping to achieve, just so that you don't have to troll through loads and loads of documents. I've tried to, with the help of others, try to keep it concise, but I just thought might be helpful for me to share a few bits, a few highlights with you that might encourage you to go away and read the document or just engage in the debate. So I'll do that now. But first of all, I want to thank a few people for helping or supporting me. I've My good mate Nick Tall is a wonderful guy and has helped me immensely with this. I'm very grateful to Nick and other people, lots of people from General Synod who all know who they are. So thank you to you people as well. Thank you to Nick McKee from the Ministry Division and who's been very supportive and encouraging. Thank you to also to Bishop Mark Tanner, Bishop of Chester for encouragement and everybody who's kind of recognised that there is maybe something we can do here, something we can unite us. I think we're all a little bit battle bruised and a bit worn down by lots of things that have been going on in our church that we all love and are deeply concerned about that have just been really unpalatable or they've left a nasty taste in our mouths. And this, I do think, is something that can unite us possibly as a synod and can to demonstrate to the wider church that we can get things done and we have a common voice on not everything, but on some things. And if we work together, then in this regard, then hopefully it'll be for the benefit of the church. So that's a little bit about where we're up to. I'm going to just lay out a few things that are in the paper that you might or might not be interested in. So one of the first things I want to just clarify, because it has been a theme that has come up when people have been in touch with me, and one thing I'm definitely not trying to do is define or redefine what it is to be working class. I think working class for me is just something, if you perhaps ask yourself the question, uh, I'm not sure if I'm working class or not, then you're probably not. But the whole point of this is not for us to spend endless hours redefining what it is or defining what it is to be working class. That's the first starting point. I also want to say that I'm not saying that people who are working class are not academic. I know some wonderful working class academics who have either been on my podcast, on the Godcast, or have just engaged with me. So it's also not about saying that people who are working class are thick. That would be offensive to me, and I know that would be offensive to others. So what is it? What is it? And why is it that we're talking about this? One of the things that I have experienced through a bit of research, discussions, and podcasts is that there's a kind of a generic feeling that working class people sometimes feel like they are having to um, be like something that they're not, trying to attain this kind of middle classness that just isn't them. And for me, it goes very much against the grain of vocation and saying to people that God calls you are as you are. He calls you whether you're working class, whether you're absolutely minted, whether you're from a very well-to-do family, whether you're whether you're middle class. And so I think it's really important that we address that situation is that it's not just about one kind of size fits all. And some people have, said to me that there was an example on a Godcast where somebody had said that they went to look around some of the theological colleges, and this was somebody from a working class background, and the first thing that she saw when she arrived at the college was that people were playing croquet on the lawn. Fabulous, splendid. But, really, is that what we are? Is that what we are aspiring to be? Is for croquet players? And I think it's a fair challenge to say to the church, this is not just what we're looking for. One of the other things that I think people from working class environments feel is there are a number of barriers that are put before them that make life a little bit tricky. And I think if there was a national strategy, some joined up thinking where we encourage all parts of the system and giving them fair and equal access to learning, then I think this is something else that we need to respond to. There are um, lots of people who might be a single parent, for example. One example I can give you is of a mum, a working class mum who was at theological college, and she had to be at morning prayer exactly the same time that she was due to take her child to school. And there was very little concession in this, and so it was kind of, well, what am I supposed to do? I've got to get my child to school. Another example is a guy from the south west of England who contacted me, who's training to be a reader, whose work, his company that he worked for changed their working patterns, which meant that he had to then work at weekends on Saturdays. And the diocese said to him, "Well, if you can't be with us on a Saturday, then you can't do the course, therefore you can't be a reader." These kind of things are really poor. I think they're really shabby, inconsistent, almost unprofessional ways to address matters of ministry. So, these are some of the things that I think need addressing and perhaps need talking about and working through. So there is a national strategy that if somebody comes that works on difficult hours, it doesn't impact on their capacity to be ordained or to train for ministry. Something else that has to be addressed is that people who are from the working class or living in a working class environment are not necessarily financially in a good place to prepare or be accommodated for ministry. Quite often, some of the people that might come forward have got very challenging financial circumstances, and the expectation may be placed upon them to be at tutorials or to be at college or to travel at certain times. These are things that need some consistency about. And, I know from my own experience when I look to go into full-time ministry training rather than regional training, the money that was offered to me to do that was I'll be frank, it was insulting. I was raising three young children at that moment in time, and to do that from home on the money that was being offered was frankly was insulting and literally impossible. I think this is not just a kind of you need to do more for working class people, or we as the church need to do more for working class people. I think this is about so many things, about supporting working class families who perhaps don't need to move, who are, I don't know, based in difficult challenges regarding family care, social care, those kind of things. But also that it's also about culture and about how we're made to feel. Again, and I'll mention this at General Synod, there was a wonderful example in a podcast I did where an ordinand from Liverpool was asked by the vocations advisor to tell him who his favourite artist was, and the response was, my favourite artist is Eminem." And there may be people watching this now who go, "Well, who is Eminem?" But Eminem is a very significant social figure to people in the working classes, a worldwide famous singer, songwriter, rapper. And the guy said, "Well, I don't know who Eminem is. I meant like an artist, like." like Van Gogh or something, and the guy said, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about." That shouldn't be an obstacle to ordination, because just because you don't know who wrote a great piece of literature or you don't know who wrote a great piece of classical music, these are examples of what I would frankly call social injustice. So there are numerous things that we are exploring here in this private members motion that I would love you all to be engaging with, and I think there's lots of conversations. I spoke to a wonderful guy called Dr. Reverend Chris Rogers, who's done a PhD on this, talk about training, talk about educating the educator. If the person that's interviewing the candidate doesn't know about Eminem but only knows about Van Gogh, is he or she the right person to be interviewing the candidate? Have we got the right people in the right place at the right time? Are the people doing the educating the right people to educate people from these certain situations? So I think there's a piece of work that we need to consider about educating the educator, teaching the teacher, and the educator, I would hope, doesn't go, well, you said I can't educate someone. Well, yeah. But what I am also saying is that you should be excited by that prospect. One of the great things about academics is the love and need for learning. So this shouldn't be thrown away as irrelevant or unimportant, but an opportunity to teach and show people what it is and how it is that we want to do these things. One of the reasons that I'm recording this it is because there is so much inequality in our society. We all get these pages and pages of documents for General Synod. I myself am dyslexic. I can read, but it's not my favoured way of learning. But nobody sends me an audio of the papers. It's kind of read it or don't engage with it. And that's not fair, because people's situations are not all the same. People's circumstances are very different. So there are lots of things that we could possibly do as a church. And I think we need to just take stock of what is going on already. There are some wonderful things out there. There are some wonderful dioceses going alone doing their own thing. I've spoken to numerous bishops. I've spoken to people in education. Said, well, we could do that. We're equipped. But wouldn't it be better if we had a strategy for the whole Church of England to say, well, we do this in this diocese because we believe it works, and we do it in this diocese, and we do it in this diocese. So I think there are some wonderful opportunities in this. I think there's some great opportunities for the church. One of the things that we are all aware of is the shortage of numbers of ordinands. People are not coming forward, and I know, guys, I know there's a whole debate out there about the reasons behind that, and people will bring up numerous things. But one of the clear realities for our church is we don't have enough representation from across the whole society of England. I always have this, I've had this thing for ages. We've got to remember, guys, that we are the Church of England, not just a church in it. We're not just kind of a church that sits there, or if we are, we shouldn't be. We are a church that is meant to be representative of all. So the opportunities, and we've all sat and listened through conversations about diversity for people who are disabled, for people of black and minority ethnic groups. But that also encapsulates working class people as well. They fall into those categories as well. So I think there are some wonderful opportunities to remove as many barriers as we can, to open the gates to people who have got. And I must tell you, I work on the estate, and the people, and I've worked in management, guys. I've worked in management, worked for over 20 years, running stores, taking a huge amount of money, 7, 8 million pound stores. I'd like to think I've got something to offer, but and this is not, this is certainly not an advert for myself, but there are how many working class bishops are there in the Church of England? I don't know the answer to that, and I don't want to people start waving the finger saying I am. They are how many, but sitting in synod and being in conferences up and down the country and talking to lots of people, I don't think there's that many. And so what is that saying? Are we saying to people the only people in the senior echelons of the church can be a leader in the senior echelon of the church if they've got a PhD, if they went to Oxford or if they went to Cambridge? We have to be very honest with ourselves that the church is in huge decline. We can't sit here and tell anybody that our church is growing because it isn't. And we can't pretend that our church is not looking all that great from the outside. It's not looking very attractive. If it was a wish you were here holiday program trying to sell it as a destination, I don't think I'd be getting on the coach anytime soon. So the opportunities are huge for us to break down stereotypes, to create new opportunities, to recognize people who've got something wonderful to offer, and to integrate that into the church to make us broader, um, more attractive, more honest, more authentic. These are so important, I believe, as the person presenting this PMM. So those opportunities are massive. Increased vocations, we become fit to serve the whole nation. We become something for everybody. We become more missional because we're not just targeting certain areas. Let's be honest again with ourselves. Look at our churches. What is it we've got in them? And I'm not saying this is everywhere, but how many of our churches are typically white, middle-aged or older aged people who, do not represent the society that we're a part of now? One of the wonderful things about St. Matthew's is, and this is not something I'm kind of saying, look at me, I'm fantastic, but over the last 4 or 5 years, we have become an international church. I can't tell you how fabulous that is. So we have people from Nigeria, and we have people from Russia, and we have people from America, we have people from Eastern Europe, and we have people from Hong Kong, and it's such a wonderful mix of people, and so you get so many different opinions and flavors and traditions, and it makes for a really joyful church. I think it also means that it demonstrates a commitment from us that we're serious about what we want to do, what we want to say, and how we're going to say it. I think it says something about social justice. Those who know me know that one of my huge passions is social inequality. It just ain't right. It just ain't right. I feel, and I know I speak for others, even though I'm a priest in the Church of England, even though I'm a General Synod member, I feel an outsider. Don't quite feel like I fit. Maybe that's the chip on my shoulder. Maybe I need to brush it off. But you can't change a feeling yourself. If you feel it, you feel it. I want to feel passionate that we're not just about certain demographics of people. I think also it will make us humbler. It will kind of just give us a bit of humility about what it is we are working for, what it is we are here for. We believe God is calling us to be a church to live more simply, more humbly, more boldly. We have to do that. We've got to be a voice in a broken nation. And also, I think this is honoring God, isn't it? The bottom line is any vocation process should be to ask, is somebody being called by God? It's not right that we're saying that God only calls certain kinds of people. I've experienced people being sent to me with comments like, have a look at this person for me. They're a bit, you know, I don't even know what that means. You know, they're a bit what? A bit not middle class? What? A bit not upper class? What is it? Bit authentic, maybe. Maybe the problem is they're too honest. They say how it is. I don't know. But these are the things that I think we need to think about. So I'm mindful that I don't want to bore you all to tears. I want to you to think about this, about how you might contribute to the debate. Feel free to fire me down. I mean, I'm talking absolute nonsense. I'd like to think I'm not, but I know I can't please everybody. But we don't need to turn this forthcoming debate into them against us. That's something I really don't want to happen. It's like I don't want working class people condemning people who are the great and the good. I want them to encourage the great and the good to recognize that we're at the table. We've got a place at the table too. And our place at the table is just as valid as anybody else's. And we have a contribution to make. We love Jesus just as much as you do. We work just as hard as you do, and vice versa. I don't want you to look down on us working class people, think, oh, we'll do this because we're doing them a favour, and we'll give them a bit of lip service, and we'll all it'll all move things on nicely. I want people, if you're not working class guys, if you're from a certain demographic or from a different kind of world to the one that I've been living in. We are just it's the circumstances that we got, isn't it? We don't decide where we land. God decides that. So I'd like to think that you could be encouraging and supportive. Thank you. I'm so grateful that it's going to get debated. Thank you for your time, and get in touch if I can help, and the paper will be out soon. Thank you.